day. Ira Epstein of Linn and Associates with your metal market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for Monday, the 30th of August, 2021. Tomorrow's the last trading day of the month, remember that, and then we go into the Labor Day holiday type trade where next Monday we're not open, so please remember that. Well, the event of the day, in my opinion, was the surprise announcement that the U.S. is now totally out of Afghanistan. Fox News has been playing reports left and right of hundreds of Americans, some on buses trying to get into the airport, and the Taliban wouldn't let them in. Those Americans are citizens. Blinky, as I like to call him, our Secretary of State, talks one game and we seem to get another. Anyone that wants to get out, we've gotten out, or they can get out. How are you going to get them out now? So basically what happened is for that, we've traded off, we're out of the war, that part is good. But we've entered a new hostage situation, that part is terrible, and there's a lot of potential hostages. So it's now going to become a negotiation game, and I think you understand that we have about $7.5 to $10 billion, the Western countries, of Afghans' money. I'm sure that they want that money. Is that the price that we have to pay to get people to the airport so commercial planes can get them out? After that, who knows? If you believe that they've changed their colors, the Taliban, I'd like to believe that. I think you would. We'll find out. I don't know what's real. I know that if I were a woman there, I'd feel terrible if they're going back to that old type thinking. But the stock market up today, I think we expected a bit of that. It's up now. During the day, though, at the close, you lost in two of the indices. So you have to pay attention to what is going on in the Dow and the Russell. They gave back their gains and closed lower. The gold market sitting here over the 1800 mark. Copper had gotten up into the 440s and has backed off a little bit. The dollar down a fraction, with the euro down, and the Swiss franc got hit especially hard. If you're watching the energies, remember you want to switch over to the November crude now. Do not stay in that October. It goes off the board tomorrow. Where have I told you for a while that the market would fight a battle? I know, remember, this is a weekly area chart of closes, and as we've been down here, I said, I think the battleground will be the 18-week average of closes. That's where it's at. Now, I can't tell you which part of it's new. I believe that the good news is that the government wants inflation to run. And I'm talking the Federal Reserve. And with them letting that inflation run, to me it's a question of time. Can you pass through that and get a bullish signal going? When you take a look at a daily bar chart of gold, you can see that the market got itself up into the resistance. It really began right here. I didn't think the market was going to get quite as high as it did originally, but after we saw on Friday the FOM, the Federal Reserve Chair speech. It wasn't an FOMC policy decision, but it was similar, wasn't it? That gave the market the extra pop. When you look at gold, you can't argue that it's not an uptrend. You have a pattern on the swing line of higher lows and higher highs. I thought the market would have resistance starting at the 100 to the 200-day average of closes when we were here. That game hasn't changed, but the trend is up. You're just in a resistance point. The swing line's the next level up at 1835. We'll see if it can get there. But I wouldn't be surprised if first the market wants to back off a little bit, but I don't think too much. Why? Let's talk about this right here. It takes 3 days in a row to change an overbought condition to locking in a trend. Now, I've never told you, hey, does it have to stay locked in? It can give it up the next day, but they typically don't. So here you go, and you can't count today, Tuesday, because we just opened and we don't know how it's going to finish. We had both numbers over 80 on Monday. Okay, we had both of the slow stochastic numbers on Friday over 80, but not so on Thursday. The key for the market is tomorrow, Tuesday. If we get an embedded reading, I think you'll see a wave of traders on pullbacks trying to support the market. They'll be out, in my opinion, if they lose that embedded reading back under a 79 reading, and they'll be looking, can they get up to that upper Bollinger Band? That's what I'd expect. Doesn't mean I'm right or anything. In the gold-silver ratio, you're falling back in the ratio, which means silver's gaining a little bit on gold. And if you look at silver, you can see that happening here. Silver, unlike gold, though, is just plain overbought. It's already got the Bollinger top falling and caving in on it down to 2406. The importance of that is you only stay outside of those bands. If you look at those black bands, 5% of the time. So yeah, you can get waves like that, but again, they're short-lived, and that's what you have to pay attention to. So I'm looking at that 24s at 36 yet. It's going to be 24, I said 06. 24.35 and a half will be that resistance point in the silver market. Support back at 23.68 and a half. However, it's overbought. Overbought conditions to me typically don't attract new buying. In the copper market, you're right where I expect key resistance, the 100-day average. So you've come off that break low all the way up here. I look for the market to stall a little bit. Now, 3 of the mines in Chile, the miners have been presented new contracts, and it sounds like the union is going to reject them. I would. You know, copper's just come back from the 390s into the 440 area. So it's had roughly a 40-cent rise, about 10%. The miners want to get part of that. This is no longer a $2 commodity. This is a much higher commodity. We'll see what comes out of that. There's always seems to be in Chile and Peru another negotiation of some type between the workers and the mine owners. In the platinum market, you now have a pattern of lower highs, higher lows, no trend. You're stalled. And I wouldn't be surprised if you just stay stalled against that 18-day average of closes, but you had a change of game in the palladium market. The market has ended this big break that it had. I just want to show it to you here. We're coming down and rolling with lower highs all the way down here. You did have 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row under the Bollinger Band. Then you snapped in the market. Then you got a pattern like this. If the market takes out that high, watch, you end the downtrend. You now have a pattern of higher lows, higher highs. The bias is down since the market is under the 18-day average. And what the market now has to do is determine what's the next move. That downtrend ended. I'm not saying you've committed to an upside yet, trend. In the dollar index, you're trendless now. The market's trying to make heads and tails out of what to do with what the Fed has done. The Fed is going to, at some point here in the near term, and they didn't tell us when. There was a question on that if you're watching YouTube by one of my writers. You're right, they didn't. They left themselves all this open. They're looking for good jobs data report. What do you think they're looking for? I don't think it's the regular PPIs and the CPIs. I think it's the jobs data. If they got a good one at this meeting, terrific. This Friday, when we get the jobs data, that might do it. But what's going to be good? Remember, you still have people with the COVID down south. It's terrible down there. I doubt there's a lot of job growth. And down there, also, who's hiring in factories if the COVID's running rampant? Look at the hospital situation. And we're just going to be ending right now that last paycheck to people. So I don't know that it's the September number. I'd lean to the camp that, nah, it's not this one. It could be the October if we peak in the COVID and things get better. Did you look at the Dallas regional business indexes today? They were terrible. Why? COVID, the Delta version, the hospitals overflowing with problems, another state where you don't wear masks. I'm not going pro-mask or not, but you're getting that in Florida, you get it there. Who knows what else you're going to get. So I think the game's just going flubby-dubby, if you will. That's a good word. And you're down here getting oversold at the same time. So I put it together, try to come up with ideas. One of the ways you can trade these stock indices are with these 1/10 size contracts. They make them in now all the major contracts. It's 1/10 the size, 1/10 the margin. We charge $1 a side a commission. If you can do better, Great, but we got to be able to make something on what we process your paper for. Not only do we do it there, we do it also in Bitcoin. So if you're trading that macro Bitcoin, what do you think we do? It's the same dollar. But the risks aren't the same, okay? If you got $50 of full points, if you go in the S&P from 44.80 to 44.81, instead of 50, it's $5. For a lot of you, it allows you to build positions, work with them, and take a different look at the market without panicking on every single side. So it's $1 a side commission. To get started, just call my staff, 866-973-2077. You can also go to our website, but when you type in our name, add /micro, shows you everything, the account forms, everything you'd need to get going right there. I'm Ira Epstein. You have yourself a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.